Welcome back to the Morning Line here on TVG, and we are extremely excited to have on the line right now Kentucky Derby winning trainer Graham Motion. Graham, congratulations. What a performance from Animal Kingdom, who you were very high on going in. But first of all, this week for you, what a string of emotions. You devastated on Tuesday with Toby's Corner coming out. Did you ever imagine after that happened you'd be sitting where you are now?
I don't think so. I mean, I never could have anticipated this. Obviously, I had a really good feeling about running the horse, but to imagine him winning like the way he did, I couldn't have imagined that.
Yeah, you seem to be, I know you a little bit, Graham, but not that well, but you seem to be a real even-keeled individual. That probably helped, I would think, your temperament with all the things that you had to deal with during the week.
Yeah, but it was tough. I mean, no doubt about it. It was really a lot of up and down, and right up to the last couple of days, it was just seemed like nothing really was falling into place, to be honest.
You know, in terms of the race itself, Animal Kingdom, I believe you're 12th at first call, and you know Shackelford got away with a 48.3 and we went back and looked at it, and it's been over 40 years since the half mile's been that slow. In '69, we had a 48 half mile. In 1980, the year Genuine Risk won the race, a 48. Were you concerned being 12th early with the fractions being as slow as they were?
I was concerned only because I thought Shackelford's a really good horse, and I was worried about him being on the lead with those kind of sensible fractions. I wasn't necessarily concerned with my horse, where my horse was, because you know he looked very comfortable. He looked like he was traveling well.
You had the late switch, obviously, as we take a look here down the stretch and going to John Velasquez, and I know you were actually making that call, looking out for Robbie Alvarado. How much time did you have to kind of go over strategy with John Velasquez and talk about what you wanted to accomplish in this race?
We talked about it quite a bit, but I really didn't have any clever instructions. I mean, my biggest concern was that Johnny had a clean trip. I was more concerned about having a good trip rather than him trying to set the ground from the 16 hole. I felt if he had a good trip and he was good enough, he could get the job done.
How much of an advantage do you think you had? Your last prep was the Spiral, March 26th. Most of the other horses ran, you know, April 3rd, April 9th, April 16th. You think having that additional week, or in some cases literally 3 weeks, was a big plus?
I think so. I mean, I think it's asking a lot of these horses to run as much as they do when they're this young. And I'd like to think it puts us in good shape, hopefully, to go on to the next one.
How good is this horse? I mean, he's won 3 of his last 5 starts. How confident were you coming in, and how much potential does he have going forward?
I was confident that he's a really good horse. I've got to be honest, I really didn't know how he was going to handle the dirt. As well as he worked on it, there's still that part of your mind that questions how he's going to handle the switchover, because plenty of good turf horses still breeze well on the dirt. So I was confident in the horse's ability. I knew he was a very good horse regardless of how he ran yesterday. But at the same time, I felt very good about running him off that breeze.
Yeah, Graham, obviously the Derby, you win the Derby, it takes a lot out of every horse. But it just seemed to me, just watching the race, that he won the race pretty easily, that John didn't have to get overly busy. You know, it's not like one of those derbies where it's gut-wrenching and you win by a nose or a head. You got to come back in 2 weeks and run in the Preakness. How did he come out of the race?
He really seems good. I mean, he's got a remarkably good disposition, this horse. He handled the paddock so well yesterday, which is a tough thing to do. I mean, Johnny said he was so relaxed in the post-parade, it helped him to relax. He said he'd never been that relaxed before that race before. So I think all that helps him, and I agree with you. It didn't appear to me that he had an overly hard race. I thought he won kind of comfortably.
In a way, with all that happened with you, with John Velasquez losing him out on Uncle Mo, probably was going to be the favorite in the race, maybe kind of help take the pressure off both of you in this one and say, look, we do what we can now. We're in the race. We've had an awful week, but we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I didn't feel a lot of pressure yesterday. I don't know why. It probably sounds crazy coming up to the Derby, but I just was confident in the horse, and I was very comfortable with what I was doing. I felt good about bringing him over there.
Yeah, so yeah, right. As Greg mentioned, that's true. I mean, everyone thinks you have Toby's Corner. That's going to be one of your top 5 favorites. All of a sudden, you have Animal Kingdom. He's never been on dirt. He's an outsider. He goes up at 20 to 1. and he wins. So we're obviously, it's a good position to be in, but are you prepared for the sort of onslaught that you went from being under the radar to now it's going to be crazy for you over the next couple of weeks?
Judging by the 30 or 40 people outside the barn when I got there this morning, I think it's begun.
You're going to need a security team now. Let's talk about moving forward. Preakness, May 21st. Obviously, you know, you're based at Fair Hill Training Center, not far from there. So it seems like it's maybe got to be in your comfort zone, being pretty close by out there. And what's the game plan to get Animal Kingdom now ready for that second leg?
Yeah, I mean, we run at Pimlico regularly. I run horses there pretty much every week, so it's something we're very familiar with. The plan is he's going to ship back to Fair Hill on Tuesday morning, so he'll be back there Tuesday evening and probably go out to train on Wednesday morning, which really fits in well with his routine. And I doubt we'll ship over to Pimlico much before Friday.
Yeah, one of the things that I like about your horse is it seems like he's very athletic, and it seems like he's extremely versatile. And in the Kentucky Derby, even though the pace was slow yesterday, we see it all the time. Horses come from fairly far back and win. We don't see it as often, obviously, in the Preakness, where speed does a little bit better at Pimlico. But, you know, I think people were overlooking the fact that in the Spiral, even though you were pretty far back at first call, that he was only 2 back of that 46 2/2 mile, going 1 mile and 8. So he actually has a little bit of tactical speed. So he has the ability to lay a little bit closer in the Preakness, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Alan got shuffled back in the Spiral, not by design, it was just by circumstances. And I thought he kind of let him run on down the backside, which I felt was asking him a lot as quickly as they went. And I'm not knocking Alan in any way by saying that. It was just the way it's set up. But I thought it showed tremendous versatility for this horse. And I think you're right. I think he's a very adaptable horse. I didn't feel like I needed to give Johnny a lot of instructions yesterday because I really do feel like he's a very straightforward horse to ride.
What a moment for you. Incredible to achieve this. And I had read something from you after you won this race saying, you know, you're not from the United States. It's not ingrained in you to say, hey, I want to win the Kentucky Derby. But you've been here for some time now. You've had chances at it before. 11th place finish back in '98, 19th with Adriano back in '08. So having been there and knowing how difficult it is to have a horse win this race, you got to get a little bit lucky too. It seems like you've seen that too with what happened with you on Tuesday. How does it feel now to say that Graham Motion is a Kentucky Derby winning trainer?
It's amazing. I mean, I just was out in the infield, you know, when we were receiving the trophies yesterday and just trying to soak it all in because, you know, you never know if you're going to get that opportunity again. And I just wanted to feed on it and really take it in. It was an extraordinary feeling, and it's something I've never experienced before, and I would think I'm unlikely to again.
It seems to me like you're also probably the kind of guy who doesn't care what people like analysts at our network say or what the media says in terms of, well, he's not going to win the Preakness. He's not a great racehorse. You have to be a great racehorse to win the Derby, then 2 weeks later be able to win the Preakness. You don't seem to really care about all that, do you? You just want to make sure your horse is sitting on the best performance that he can put forth on that particular day.
I think so. I mean, ultimately, you've got to have confidence in your horse, and I really do have confidence in this horse. And I thought what he did yesterday was nothing short of spectacular. It's an odd feeling to, you know, you go from winning the Derby the night before, and you wake up the next morning, and now you think I've got to try and win the Preakness in 2 weeks. It's a quick turnaround when you start thinking of it that way. But it's a daunting task, but I'm excited to be part of it.
You went to bed last night? Come on. You were up all night. I don't believe you. I
actually got home and the newspapers were out, so we were able to read the newspapers before we went to bed. That was pretty cool.
This is a look at the possible starters lining up against your horse in the Preakness, and you know, obviously getting a horse to the Kentucky Derby takes a lot out of a horse, and so a lot of times you got to rush a horse to get there to make that race. Then they have to run that 1.25 miles for the first time in their life. It's a 20-horse field, well, 19-horse field yesterday. And it could be a roughly run race, but it seems like your horse didn't have to deal with you know, a lot of bumping and grinding in that race. How do you take care of him and get him ready now for the Preakness? Just light workload, or do you just kind of say we're going to let him tell us what we need to do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not going to be looking to do a great deal with him. I think he's a very fit horse coming off this race, and you know, I'm just going to try and keep him happy and keep him sound and just get him there to in the best possible way on Saturday, May the 21st.
Graham, amazing accomplishment. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person. Well-deserved. Congratulations, and we wish you continued success throughout your career, but certainly the rest of this Triple Crown.
Go get some sleep.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Graham Motion, Kentucky Derby winner with Animal Kingdom. And